4 years ago, Paul Rabil earned MVP honors and led Team USA to a world championship. Now first-timers Rob Pannell and Tucker Durkin help him defend that title. Their tournament begins against the explosive Kevin Crowley and arch-rival Canada. For the Americans, it's a tremendous honor to play for national pride.
Put on USA is obviously a humbling, unbelievable experience.
You want to make sure you're doing your best at all times, and even though there's that level of competition, there's still that level of a high level of camaraderie as well.
It really is unlike any other thing, and then people say it.
You're all, a team now, and you're all working towards one common goal, which is to keep the gold with the USA.
Welcome to the 2014 FIL Lacrosse Championships, presented by Trusted Choice. It's a picture-perfect night in the Rockies at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Denver. The tournament begins with a bang. Canada renews a rivalry for world domination with the United States. Denver, the center of the lacrosse universe for the next 10 days. It's time to kick off the proceedings in a patriotic way with public address announcer Connor McGahey.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and kindly remove your caps for the presentation of colors by the City of Commerce City Police Department Honor Guard. And now, please join us as we honor both nations represented here tonight with the singing of O Canada, followed by the Star-Spangled Banner, as performed tonight by Ryan Bowman.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
Job well done by Ryan Bowman. It is so nice to see you again. Along with Quint Kesnick, I'm Joe Beninati. We will bring Paul Carcaterra aboard in just a minute. All of us are thrilled to bring this tournament to you, and everybody should be pleased by the Olympic-type atmosphere it enjoys.
It is amazing how the growth of this game in the United States has fueled just a global expansion. This tournament this week features 38 nations. There are 9 new faces: China, Uganda, Belgium, Israel. Our focus on ESPNU will be Team USA and the competition in the blue division: Canada, the Iroquois, Australia, Japan, and England.
Canada and the United States, they arrive in Denver as the pre-tournament favorites, and the Americans boast an array of goal-scoring talent led by Paul Rabil and Rob Pannell.
When you look at the American roster, it is a who's who of college lacrosse from the last decade. Rob Pannell at Cornell University scored more points than any player in NCAA history. He's a terrific quarterback from behind the net. Paul Rabil, MVP of this event back in 2010. He's a world-class athlete. The Hopkins grad, he's driven, he has a tremendous work ethic, and he gets tremendous production from the midfield in many different ways.
Now, the Canadians are younger than ever for this event, but still have experienced stars in Brody Merrill and Kevin Crowley.
At Stony Brook, Kevin Crowley toured through NCAA lacrosse. He's 6'4" from British Columbia, a terrific downhill dodger. He's been a star both indoor and outdoor as a pro. Meanwhile, Brody Merrill, I could argue that Brody Merrill is the second best defender in the history of lacrosse behind the USA's Dave Petramala. Most ground balls in Major League Lacrosse history. Former Georgetown star, unquestionably respected as the leader of Team Canada.
Our neighbors to the north without a shining star at attack. As for why there's no John Grant Jr., here's Paul.
Well, Joe, it wasn't until last Wednesday that Team Canada had to think of life on the field without one of the greatest of all time in John Grant Jr. The FIL denied his appeal for a therapeutic use exemption for prescription medication, including testosterone, that he started taking 4 years ago to deal with a medical condition. While Grant is on the sideline as a coach now, the burden to fill his void as a player is absolutely massive. Jordan McIntosh fills Grant's roster spot, but Mark Matthews will play his left attack position. Matthews has a flair for the dramatic, has a crazy skill set, but doesn't draw a double team like Junior.
Oh, this is no doubt about entertainment tonight, all about it. And two teams that are, shall we say, friendly rivals in an unfriendly way.
Easy to get ready for this one. You could just feel the tension of the last 3 days here in Denver.
Chris Eck controls the opening draw. The Americans are in white, and Eck pumps one wide of the Canadian netminder, Dylan Ward. Off to a flying start. The opening game of the FIL Lacrosse Championships presented by Trusted Choice. Team USA training this week in Colorado Springs at Air Force Academy. A very gracious host to the Stars and Stripes. They put in an awful lot of work on and off the field. Brendan Mundorf, one of the attackers. On the invert, here's Buchanan. On the inside roll, just sent it wide. He had Ward cheating low. We mentioned Dylan Ward between the pipes, the 23-year-old from Ontario. Has been playing goal indoors, guarding a much smaller cage.
Dylan played collegiately at Bellarmine in Kentucky, third-team All-American as a senior, where his game just ramped up big time, 66%. Terrific indoor goalie. Told me that the stance is very similar other than the top hand.
Canadians looking for their first possession. Rubish overruns it. Scoops it on back. The ground ball attempted pickup from Dylan Roy. Help comes from Ward. Unsettled Mundorf looking to create. Dodging the hatchet check of Dylan Roy.
Gentlemen, watching Dylan Ward in practice pregame with Gary Gates shooting on him. He was dialed in.
Pannell looking short side. Ward able to stave that off. And the Canadians will make a break for it to the midfield line for the first time. 4 quarters, Quint. 20 minutes in duration, just one of the different international rules of the field game.
Yeah, overtime's a little different. We don't go to sudden victory right away. There'll be 2 4-minute periods, and I think the other is stalling on offense. Officials will call the get it and keep it in call. There is no shot clock, and there is no timer on.
The United States, their starter in the cage is Jesse Schwartzman, who's having an outstanding summer in Major League Lacrosse in Denver with the Outlaws. Earl on the rollback. King will switch it. Off the split dodge, Crowley. Attack there on the outside. That's Lee Zink. In his first appearance in a World Championship, Lee Zink was cut in 06. He was an alternate in 2010 when the Americans were victorious against these Canadians in Manchester, England. Inside roll, Dixon did not convert. That one rattles around. Whistle in possession for Team USA.
Crease violation as Dixon just dropped the shoulder, leaning in big time against Michael Evans. But it was Schwartzman filling up the cage. Here's Dixon out of Delaware dropping. Look at the power he's able to generate. And Schwartzman steps off his line to stuff the right-hander.
Almost 4 minutes into the contest and looking for the first strike. As for the United States, Paul Carcaterra, what do they need to get done to achieve their mission tonight?
Transition goals, Joe. Canada flourishes in the 6-on-6 set. The U.S. has to run and then protect the inside. The box lacrosse background, the Canadians are incredible and tight.
Pennell with a quick feed looking for Mundorf. It's down on the deck, scooped up at the midfield, and then in transition, here comes Matthews roaring in. Mark Matthews has struck.
Team Canada goal starts with a beautiful check defensively inside by Kyle Rubish out of Dowling College, and the ball trickles up towards the midfield line where there's Wesley Bird. Denver to his former teammate, the lefty Mark Matthews. Edmonton Rush, Denver Pioneer. Tons of goals playing up the street in Lodo. 156 goals for Bill Tierney, filling in for John Grant Jr. on that lefty wing.
A pair of All-American Pioneers strike first for Canada. Just shy of the 5-minute mark in the opening quarter. This game kicks off the tournament, the FIL World Championships. 142 games, Squint, in the next 10 days before it's all said and done.
Everybody plays tomorrow. We've got the Blue Division highly covered on ESPNU and ESPN3.com. You're going to see some nations play on ESPN3 that'll just blow your mind away. I mean, walking around the practice fields to see Argentina, Italy, France, Uganda, China, Hong Kong. It's quite amazing what has been put together here.
Lobbed over the top. Seaball fires over the crossbar. Backed up on the end line by Rob Bonnell.
The matchup right in front of me here. Best against the best. Paul Rabil, 99 in white. Brody Merrill, 17 in red. Those two will be going at it all night long, gentlemen.
Look at you, and you didn't even have to buy a ticket for it.
Spoiled rotten.
Buchanan has had the ball a lot in the opening quarter for the United States. He likes his matchup, apparently, as he's marked by Cameron Holding on the outside. Remember now, there is no shot clock. To the interior, Ward gets up there quickly on Seaball, the flashy midfielder with a great burst.
Interesting combination. And
Buchanan zips it wide off the pass from the quarterback, Bonnell.
interesting combination by this USA midfield. Two Dodgers, Paul Rabil, Max Seaball, both very explosive in drawing double teams, getting the goal for themselves. Kyle Buchanan, left-handed off-ball player. He should have a big tournament playing alongside those two Dodgers.
Canadians in possession and on top by one thanks to Mark Matthews. Cue the keys for the Canadians.
Watching them historically and this week, sensational passers. They've got to get the hockey assist, the double assisted goals. And then defensively, when they're losing matchups to guys like Rabil and Seabald, slide, rotate, and recover. Team defense is essential. They may lose some of those one-on-one matchups on the perimeter.
There is so much team speed on the field for both of these squads. It's Matthews off the swim, sharp angle, no trouble for Jesse Schwartzman, who gets the nod to start for the United States over Drew Adams. Head coach Richie Meade was very complimentary in the last couple of days for both of his netminders, having supreme faith in both.
I think Jesse's advantage, defensive coordinator Dave Petramala and they speak the same language, obviously. Jesse's 28, terrific leader, command and presence. And one thing we know, he's a big game goalie.
It's funny, Q, I was talking to him before the game. He said, you're used to the bright lights, winning national titles as a sophomore and then a senior at Johns Hopkins, playing in front of 50,000 plus, 2005, 2007. He was electric.
Jason Noble keeping an eye on Kyle Harrison. Then Mundorf will swing it for Ned Crotty, the hero in 2010. It was Crotty who had the last 2 goals in the gold medal game for the United States.
Q, I thought they'd put Crotty a little bit at midfield. What'd you think coming into the game with Pennell behind?
I like Crotty behind the goal, but I think with Jeff Tambroni at the helm, Rob Pennell's going to be your quarterback, your #1 guy at X.
Pennell calling his own number there. It'll still be United States ball in the backup for Matt Abbott.
If there's a weakness of this Team Canada, it might be their close defense. And it seems like right now U.S. is trying to attack from behind the goal.
Pennell doing the honors here. Jump shot knocked down. Ward is a tower between the pipes for Canada, listed at 6'5".
Great defense by 18 in red, Cam Flint, Denver Pioneer, strong and sturdy on the corner.
He really is as a short stick D midfielder. Harrison off the split dodge. Kyle Harrison shakes, dishes, on the move to the interior, bounce wide of the goal. Dave Lawson was looking for shooting space. When he gets it, he's deadly accurate.
Former Duke Blue Devil, sensational, off the charts in terms of his athletic ability, his speed, his explosion.
Crotty attacked there on the outside. Jeremy Noble doing the honors defensively. United States looking for the tying tally. Mark Matthews on the board for the Canadians. We're almost halfway through the opening quarter in Denver.
Terrific team defense by the guys in red right now. They're holding up well in the one-on-one matchups, and they're supporting Taylor Ray, their defensive coordinator, head coach at St. Joe's.
Mundorf ran right by the short stick, then got cleaned out by Dylan Roy as Ward made the save, and Mundorf remains ailing on the turf.
Quint, to tag that thought, I'm right next to the Canadian bench, and the coaches change their calls depending on who has the ball for Team USA, whether it's a dodging threat, a guy like Kyle Harrison, or a team they need to play softer against if that unit rolls out as a guy like a Lawson. I think they're giving him a little bit more room.
Mundorf turns the corner and pays the price. How about that hit? Dylan Roy, clean, dropped the shoulder. I love his technique. Mundorf has been battling injuries basically for the last year and a half.
He's had 3 major surgeries in the last 18 months. Paul, the lights are starting to take effect here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Is the temperature dropping? It's been hot here.
Nice and cool down here, Joe. And you look at the sun right now, it's kind of being blocked by the top part of the stadium. Complete shade. You got to worry if you're a goalie when it's that sun that's peeking through one side of the field. Not the case here tonight.
Jesse King on the move out of Ohio State. That was a tough catch for Jordan McIntosh. It's a turnover.
Dan Burns, 4 and white, terrific job. They're taking away King's strong left hand. Remember, most of these Canadian offensive players, basically all of them, are about 85% strong-handed players. They don't have the two-hand midfielders that the U.S. does.
ESPNU will be bringing you coverage of the FIL World Lacrosse Championships. Australia and defending champ, the United States, taking to the field coverage of the FIL World Lacrosse Championships presented by Trusted Choice. Continues Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPNU. You can also watch that game live on Watch ESPN. For fans who are used to Major League Lacrosse in a very hurried pace, to see a World Championship tournament game, all of a sudden, it's a little bit more deliberate on both sides.
Yeah, and Jeff Tambroni, Penn State head coach and the offensive coordinator, talked about shot selection.
Seabald has a good look here, makes the one more look, and it's Crotty missing the target. Off the outside of the post from the sharp angle. A broken stick on the turf. The officials tending to that debris. Kentaro Shimizu, the referee of Japan. Don Lovett from Australia. Peter Davidson, England. And Christian Geschke of Germany. There is a bench official in these World Games. Seaball on the isolation. Working in against Jesse Gamble. Rolls back and fires to the splits goes Ward.
Dylan Ward is about 6'3". He loves the wide stance. And talking to him earlier this week, he thinks in just a half a step he can cover the full 6 foot width of the goal because of his width. And you saw it on display there.
So Q, what's the negative of the wide base for Ward? Where can Team USA beat him?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I think offside high or jamming at 5-hole are going to be good looks against Ward this week. We'll see. He has not played outdoor lacrosse this spring or summer. Contract negotiations, didn't like the contract that Major League Lacrosse sent him this summer, so he chose to sit out after having a sensational year indoors.
He had played outdoors in the past for Canadian general manager Dave Huntley when the team was based in Hamilton. Earl on the sweep, matched up by Kyle Harrison, who is extremely motivated for this tournament. Throughout the night, you'll see a volley of stats at the bottom of the screen, one that jumps out early. The United States out shooting Canada 12-3, but trailing where it matters most. Mark Matthews on the board. Jeremy Noble up top once more for David Earl. Harrison lost his balance as Earl works off the Crowley pick.
Who can beat their man and draw a slide? Who can beat their man and get to the goal?
U.S. defensive coordinator Dave Petramala mentioning to us that the team has to be disciplined in the way it slides in this tournament, and especially tonight. Here comes the help.
How about that defense by Kyle Harrison, 18 in white, standing toe-to-toe with Kevin Crowley. Coach Petramala telling you, we must win one-on-one battles on the perimeter. Well, here it is. That's a big-time victory.
And that's no easy assignment.
You look at Harrison, gentlemen, he actually was first chosen for this team. We know his electric ability as a scorer. As a defensive midfielder now, he's kind of transitioned back to a two-way threat, so he has those reps playing defense in training camp.
Paul, there seem to be a lot of volunteers on the United States side, guys who are all-star, big-time scorers who say, hey, let me play defense in this tournament from time to time. I know Paul Rabil's one of those. U.S. looking for offense. Crotty has his defender hung up. That's Matt Vince. Thule on the outside. His pass is too tall for Lawson. It's a turnover back to Canada. We played 15 minutes of the opening quarter. They are 20-minute running time quarters in the FIL Lacrosse Championships. Canada striking in the first 4 minutes. Mark Matthews off an unsettled situation.
Neither team has shown any kind of ability to run other than the USA missed pass that Berg threw ahead to Matthews. This has been strictly a 6-on-6 game, and both defenses are extremely buttoned up.
Cam Flint, 18 in the red for Canada, delivers to Matthews. Back behind the cage to the hard shooting Curtis Dixon. He has a flamethrower.
Strong right-handed tendencies, as does 18 in red Cam Flint.
Flint sweeping against Lawson, shovels for Jordan Hall. Former Delaware Blue Hen.
He's a lefty, watch how he's shaded.
Good big game player too. Every time the stakes are high, Jordan Hall does something special.
88 in red's a big game player.
And highly decorated. That's Zach Greer on the turn. Hall this way, Flint. Nothing there. Here comes the help from Evans. A tenacious defender.
USA defensive alignment has been on point, taking away the strong hand of these Dodgers.
Hall. Durkin comes a running after him. Physical customer, 51 in white. Off the shake, it's Greer. Inside, he's double-teamed and knocked off the ball. Out of the pack, Wesley Berg, skip it. Hall with a sizzler that goes high on Schwartzman.
Greer got to the middle of the field, but couldn't get the ball out of his pocket before a double team, a little crunch in the paint.
Canada without the services of John Grant Jr., an all-world attackman. Voted best attacker in the world in previous games. He's now part of Canada's coaching staff. Paul Carcaterra alluded to the reasons why he withdrew from this year's tournament, related to a therapeutic use of testosterone, a banned substance on the anti-doping list. He asked for a therapeutic exemption. It was not given. And with that, Canada relies on a lot of youngsters in this tournament. And some of that is by design. Looking to build a lead by one here. Jeremy Noble forced into the turnover there. Help comes from Hartzell. Out of the pack, Curtis Dixon, and there was a timeout call. Canada asking for time and getting it. 2 minutes, 7 seconds to go in the opening quarter, and 1 goal on the board. That's it. Canada has the 1 tally via Mark Matthews. At the other end from Jesse Schwartzman, Dylan Ward has been strong from the hop for Canada.
I played at the Hill Academy as a high schooler up in Toronto, and his senior year at Bellarmine University in Louisville, Kentucky, he blew up 66%, third-team All-American. I asked him how he did it. He said, I stopped thinking about the little things and just tracking the ball, keeping my eye on the ball. He says in the outdoor game, he's got to be a little more patient than he is as an indoor goalie because the shooters have bigger windows. He's certainly shown the ability to transition from the indoor. And Joe, you look at me, indoor goalies have their stick in one hand between their legs, kind of hunched over. Outdoor goalies, obviously, 2 hands on the stick with the ball off, excuse me, with the head of the stick off their shoulder.
He's making the adjustment nicely. Folks, the nation's top high school boys lacrosse players take to the field. North versus South All-America battle. It's the 2014 Under Armour All-American Lacrosse Classic. It's part of ESPNU's Summer of Next. It comes Saturday, 5 Eastern on ESPNU, a game you can also live on Watch ESPN. Ryan Boyle and Matt Strebel, former Team USA standouts, are coaching in that game as we share time with Paul Carcaterra.
Well, Joe, I was just near the Canadian offensive huddle, and a familiar face for college lacrosse fans. Matt Brown, the offensive coordinator for Team Canada, is the offensive coordinator for the legendary Bill Tierney at Denver University. Expect when they get back on the field to see a lot of scissor-type cuts, crisscrosses. Quint, you also alluded to the fact that Team USA is kind of denying the strong hands because the Canadians are one-handed. Expect some underneath moves for these Canadian offensive players to get to the goal.
One of the most interesting chess matches, Paul, is Matt Brown, offensive coordinator at Denver, going head-to-head with Dave Petramala. Defensive. Both are known as innovators and as good as it gets at the collegiate game, and they have been targeting this game for months.
Both head coaches and general managers couldn't wait to see how that chess match would shake loose.
Yeah, if you're Canada right now, Matt early in the week told me, people movement and ball movement, got to give them structure, but don't overcoach. I haven't seen enough people movement. I think they've been a little stagnant off ball.
Late in the opening quarter, it's the blue group in FIL Lacrosse Championship play presented by Trusted Choice. Along with Quint Kesnick and Paul Carcaterra, I'm Joe Beninati. We are at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Denver, Colorado. A matchup of superpowers on a lacrosse field. Crowley on the go, rolling back inside. Help comes quickly. The converging United States defense has been very sharp. Last time it was Jesse Bernhardt to tend to Crowley's advances. Under a minute in the first. Earl hesitates, weaves inside, then lost the ball. Wesley Berg with the scoop.
That was that underneath move, and Team USA defense right up to the task.
Curtis Dixon showing more patience. Just about a half minute to go in the quarter, and in no hurry. Tucker Durkin is there. Durkin, who plays in Major League Lacrosse with Florida, the expansion launch. Oh. He takes Dixon down. Help comes from Jesse Schwartzman with 12 seconds in the opening quarter. Running time down to 8.
Dixon put that ball on his chest, called for withholding.
Jesse with an 80-yard fling that goes wide of fellow netminder Dylan Ward. And we are done with the opening quarter. Canada has the lead. Color, pageantry, physical play, outstanding net minding, and we expect the goal scoring to ramp up.
World Lacrosse Championships is presented by Trusted Choice Independent Insurance Agents. Free to do what's right for you. And in part by Match.com. People who join Match are 3 times more likely to find a relationship than people who don't.
A terrific lacrosse festival atmosphere in Denver. You are seeing video from the opening ceremonies here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. 38 different teams marching to the field. The party atmosphere very much felt, especially by one of your favorite entries from Uganda.
You know, it's amazing. There are a bunch of rock stars here in Denver. There's one of them, the Team Uganda. Really, Fields of Growth International, the way they were able to start that program. They're the first ever from Africa to play in an FIL event. Head coach Andrew Boston, former Delaware player, spent 2 years with the Peace Corps in Uganda. Tom Schreiber at Princeton's one of their assistant coaches. And then the other guys in Denver who are rock stars are the Thompsons of the Iroquois Nationals.
We've seen them quite a bit around town. A violation against Chris Eck to start the second quarter. This is the opening game of the tournament. In the blue group, Canada in red. The only tally on the board provided by Mark Matthews, who came back before this game was 5 minutes old. Matthews, a former All-American at the University of Denver, not far away.
Impeccable defense by both teams so far. When you watch this American defense in white, watch their off-ball spacing, watch their approaches and their stances on ball, and the way they're shading and taking away the strong hands of the guys in red. Jordan Hall's a lefty. He wants to get topside here. Denied
by Burns, who stays with him. They work it quickly. Dixon sneaks and scores on the dive shot acrobatics.
Curtis Dixon's got 2 good looks on ISOs from the right wing. Former star at Delaware. Final Four in 2007 as a blue hen, ducks underneath, takes the ball with confidence. Jesse Schwartzman's got a claim here. Diving is legal, but you're not allowed to make contact with the goaltender. Dixon, who plays for Calgary now in the indoor league, had 62 goals as a senior at Delaware.
Gentlemen, you saw Curtis Dixon there, primarily a right-handed dodger and shooter. He did an incredible job, and I had a great look at it on goal line extended. Ducking his shoulder, getting low. The defensive approach was a little sloppy. Once he saw that, he stayed low. He increased his angle by moving his feet upwards and stuck that by Schwartzman.
Another face-off violation against Chris Eck. Paul, we've been watching a lot of Canada for the last 2 days, and a lot of Curtis Dixon scoring in a myriad of ways. Most of them lately have been from the outside. That one showing fearlessness, going right to the rack.
And Joe and Quint, this is a guy that played at Delaware. Quint, you mentioned it, but took a few years off from outdoor lacrosse, primarily a box lacrosse player. This season, joined back with the Major League Lacrosse Denver Outlaws and has been tearing it up.
11 goals in 5 games to underline your point. It is Dixon with the ball, a long way from the cooker. Picked up by Tucker Durkin. Canada loves to play the 2-man games, the pick and roll game.
And Jeff Snyder playing the substitution game. Face-off specialist for Team Canada, 35 in red. Key component to their victory in the 2006 World Championships. He's keeping Chris Eck on the field right here, playing a little hangman. And he is a trickster, that Jeff Snyder. He'll pull the string right here and backdoor cut. He's a dangerous threat.
McIntosh picked up by Sebald. Once again, for those of you just joining us, no shot clock, no timer on in these World Championships. Setting and firing with a rip, it's Jeremy Noble. It's 3-zip for Canada.
You recognize the number 24 for Team Canada. That's the great John Grant's number. His replacement today, Jordan McIntosh, with a great feed to Jeremy Noble. My question here, Q, when we look at the replay is, why is Team USA sliding there? I thought that was good defense.
Now, McIntosh may have had a step, but he creates offense for Team Canada. And Noble slings that right-handed, one of many young collegiate stars on this Canada team. But Paul, I love the strategy to keep Snyder on the field there and open things up by making that a 5-on-5.
Eck wins the draw, goes right to the cage, and gets the United States a much-needed possession. They're down by 3. Nearly 5 minutes into the second quarter.
Paul, Eck stays with Snyder, makes it a 5-on-5, which opens up more space. I love that strategy. Your thoughts?
Good point. And if you ask any team defense, they're used to their 6-on-6 set. So they're sliding their rotations predicated on 6 guys on the field. When you put it at a 5-on-5, normal slide and rotation out the window.
Rob Pennell on the ball now. He said this was good to play Canada in the opening game. They'd have to be ready to bring it right out of the gate. Rabil looking to create some offense. Leading Major League Lacrosse in assists so far this summer. Over the head with a pass there. Buchanan sticks it upstairs.
Buchanan from Ohio State breaks the seal. But how about this look by Rabil? Or should we say no look? Here it is. To space. Set your feet, find a corner.
How sweet is that? And these two guys are actually teammates in Major League Lacrosse with the Boston Cannons. Paul Rabil leads the league in assists. The guy that leads in goals, Kevin Buchanan. That's the 1-2 punch.
Buchanan, 28 years of age. Rabil, also 28. Each of them in their 7th summer of professional lacrosse in Major League Lacrosse.
Buchanan's ability to move without the ball, to anticipate his teammates' dodges and ball rotation, to find the open pockets of a defense, and then to finish mid-range shots. He could be, if I had to predict right now who the USA's leading midfield scorer from a goal standpoint would be at the end of this tournament, my guess would be Kevin Buchanan.
He's one of those guys who heats up in a hurry. Eck beats Snyder on the draw, giving the United States a chance to put goals back-to-back. Just crossing the 6-minute mark of the second quarter. Garrett Thule, boy, does he create matchup problems at 6'3", 235. They'll swing it for Lawson. All the coaches for Team USA look at 31 White and say he has the chance to develop into a premier talent. Thule from long range scores! Garrett Thule.
He's got range. Richie Meade, when he was at Navy, faced Thule on occasion. 6'4", 240-pounder out of New Jersey, a lefty cannon from the outside. Perhaps Dylan Ward was screened. Look at Thule, use his body, free up his hands.
I think Ward was screened, Q. You look at that shot and the location, stick side, but Garrett Thule is one of those guys, just massive in terms of his strength and can get a shot off with any defensive pressure, let alone a short stick attacking him.
He's here, granted a U.S. Army exemption. West Point graduate, beat Navy 5 times, and beat Cuse up in the dome, Paul.
Knew you'd throw that one in.
Just to rub it in. That was Greg Gurenlian taking the draw there for the United States. 98 in white, spelling Chris Eck, as Team USA has elected to dress 2 face-off men in this tournament.
And Team Canada can turn to Jeff Snyder and then back him up with Jordan McIntosh.
Cameron Holding has possession, 19 in red, picked up by Matt Abbott. Extraordinary versatility for 3 in the white for the United States. As valuable as they come.
2 NCAA titles, 3 Major League Lacrosse titles. We get to see him on a weekly basis for the Chesapeake Bayhawks. He's their most valuable player over the last 4 or 5 years, without question.
Just effortless in the things that he can do with that glide stride. King gets to the interior, Burns, another Bayhawk there. Schwartzman stabs that. Jesse Schwartzman with a sharp outlet right on the money for Kyle Hartzell. As Hartzell brings it ahead, his pass misses its intended target, and the Canadians will take it back. They're on top 3-2. The lead goal for the moment, their last strike, provided by Jeremy Noble.
Those types of turnovers in Major League Lacrosse with a 60-second shot clock, no big deal. In the international game where there's longer possessions, those are killers.
Flint on the go, just sent it high. Dan Burns will find Paul Rabil. The captain, elected by his teammates for the United States, attackman Kevin Lavelle, the elder statesman on this squad. It was Rabil who carried the United States flag to the surface here during the opening ceremonies. Another rip from Buchanan has tied it at 3.
When you first saw Paul Rabil burst on the scene, he was a collegiate player at Johns Hopkins. He was an alpha male dodging midfielder that created offense and scored goals. Now he is the complete package, one of the best dual threat midfielders of all time in terms of creating offense and dishing the rock.
Swim, eyes up, good hand control. Buchanan gives what the defense, takes what the defense gives him, and he kind of slides inside. 2 goals for Buchanan, who was cut from his JV team as a freshman in high school.
Where would he be recruited these days, too?
The officials spotting a violation on the draw against Canada's Jeff Snyder. Kyle Harrison has possession. All of a sudden, Kyle's in his early 30s. Where does the time go?
Hopkins 2005, playing for the Ohio Machine this summer. 31-year-old, lives in Los Angeles, Tewaaraton winner, national champ, and I think he rises to whatever challenge. You know, I don't know how motivated he was during the LXM days, but you see it this summer, Joe, and you see it during the USA tryouts.
Yeah, there's that fire in the eye again.
Loves the challenge, lives for the challenge.
No doubt. The United States was blanked in the opening quarter, 20 minutes worth. They've scored on 3 of their last 4 shots. They've tied the game at 3 apiece. Holding like a running back in the opening field. Gets decked. The United States has shown a tremendous support for the ball defensively.
These guys are swinging down here.
Oh, yeah.
Look out! Look out!
Here comes another bum rush. Mundorf, who was clocked in the first quarter, was trying to get back against Dylan Roy. Those 2 are former Outlaw teammates in Denver. There are flags down.
You feel the passion.
The stadium getting lively.
You feel the passion on that ground ball scrap. Thought the referees were really letting him play there, and I think Brody Merrill got a little careless with his stick at the tail end.
We have not had an extra man in this contest just yet.
This was physical. This was intense. Rob Pennell does a nice job perching himself over here. It's Dylan Roy right there. 91 in red. Could have been multiple loose ball pushes. That is a gutty play from the NCAA all-time leading scorer for now. 354 points at Cornell.
Got a timeout on the field. 7.5 minutes to go in this first half. Canada had the first 3. The United States the last 3. We're even in Denver. United States about to go extra man after a Kyle Rubish slash. It's 3-3 here in Denver in the World Lacrosse Championships, and everybody looking forward to seeing the return, Quinn Kesnick of the Iroquois.
Led by Lyle and Miles Thompson. You'll see 4 Thompsons in action. Jeremy and Jerome, the 2 older brothers. Jeremy playing at Syracuse, and how about these guys taking the world, lighting it up this year, beating Loyola in the NCAA tournament. shared the Tewaaraton Trophy. We watched him practice today, and Joe, I've been watching lacrosse for a long time, and I've never seen anything like what we saw in practice today. Not only from the Thompsons, but from their teammates. Guys like Craig Point, a tremendous outside shot. You had, Bomberry, Brett Bucktooth. This is a dangerous, dangerous team.
Even when these guys are going three-quarter speed, they're electric, and they were Tewaaraton winners at the University at Albany.
It is the youngest Iroquois Nationals team ever, and they are contenders. Absolutely no doubt about it with Canada and U.S. for the gold. I think there's a big gap after the Iroquois.
You will see the Iroquois on ESPNU. We mentioned it's their return. They were not at the 2010 games. They had passport immigration trouble. Their traditional passports were not acceptable, so they were not in the tournament in 2010. Germany replaced them in the group.
They'll open play tomorrow night on ESPN3 from the big stadium. And what we saw in practice today, this team's going to light it up. Cody Jamieson, Zach Miller out of Denver.
Extra man now, 6-on-5 for the guys in white. United States searching for its first lead of the half. Lawson. Mundorf and Lawson, then Rabil this way. Seaball, one more, off the outside of the post from Pennell. Pennell with a good hustle. He said you got to remember your college days and be very assertive on the backups in these World Championships.
You see it in the stick work. U.S. has settled down a bit after a jittery start.
Change the formation, Seaball straight away. Lawson fires, missed it on the short side. Pennell there. Rob Pennell, a 24-year-old. For Rabil, and then Seaball. Lawson as they circle. Mundorf for the bouncer. That was handled by Dylan Ward.
Joe, I'm on goal line extended where Mundorf took that shot. Not a good angle.
Back to even. 6-on-6. Rabil forcing the issue. Jump shot, score! Paul Rabil.
Canada's struggling to find their bearings after the penalty. A long approach by Brody Merrill, but the key to this goal, watch 31 in white, set a gorgeous screen right here, and Rabil has space.
Paul Rabil, 4 years ago, MVP in a victorious effort for the United States. A bioblast on Paul, brought to you by Sector Spider ETFs. Mr. Rabil, #1 overall in Major League Lacrosse way back in the summer of '08, and he has been scoring ever since he stepped into the pro ranks.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when we spoke to him. That was last night around dinner time when we sat down with him and Rob Pennell and Kevin Lavelle, dealing with the pressure of being the favorite. He thought that was the biggest challenge this week.
Abbott scorched one high. Different kind of mentality. You have to approach the tournament when you are the pre-tourney fave. The likes of Canada and Iroquois expected to present a very stiff challenge to the United States, a nation that has won this tournament 9 times. Canada has done it twice, in 1978 and in 2006 on home turf in Ontario. Thule, who has a marker for the United States. The Americans on a 4-goal unanswered run. Lawson, skip a man, Harrison. The feed inside, Crotty denied theirs. Ward again covers a good portion of the lower part of the cage. That wide-based stance.
And he has shown a little bit of a tendency to be dropping and guessing low tonight.
Thule bullies his way into the alley for Crotty. Defense turned in there by Vince, who's an indoor goalie. Mundorf with Rubish. Those two are Bayhawk teammates in Annapolis, Maryland. Harrison off the double swim. That was not going to fool Jesse Gamble. It'll still be American possession, less than 4 to go in our opening half. Stay with us, of course. Highlights and analysis from Quint and Clark. We'll take a big picture look at these FIL Lacrosse Championships presented by Trusted Choice. That will come between quarters 2 and 3. Lawson on the redodge. Mundorf scores! Five straight for the red, white, and blue.
Joe, Brendan Mundorf, in my estimation, was the X factor in terms of the attack production. Banged up the last couple years. Healthier as he's ever been in the last 2 seasons, and this is his sweet spot. He's a lefty finisher, a great dodger off a quick ball movement, but what I liked about that shot is he put himself in a great angled position. The shot prior, not so much. That one, he sticks.
He made Canadian defender Kyle Rubisch, 8 in red, make a decision. Rubisch was a little eyes up the field, thinking about helping out on Lawson, and Mundorf found just a little room on the wing. Defensive decision-making, critical against a team like the USA.
Chris Eck, the face-off man for the United States, helping to get the Americans another possession. Rabil delivers to Ned Crotty as he is hawked by Matt Vince with 2:25 to go in the opening half. USA has improved its shooting percentage as this game has gone along, finding the mark on Dylan Ward. Seaball running downhill, continues to power his way in, backs away, finds some space. Crotty, quick trigger. That's Holman on the bounce. Buchanan, who has 2. Seaball scores! Everything's starting to click now for the Americans.
Rapid ball movement. And a nice change of levels at the tail end by Seabald. Tuarton winner out of Hewlett, New York, and Cornell. Catch, plant your feet, and finish. But that was a team goal right there. Good ball reversal. Buchanan draws 2. Keeps it moving. And Canadians' defense is on the turnstile and a tad bit late.
Q, perfect offense, and that's a message to any young lacrosse player. Every dodge right there, the offensive player for USA, head up.
6 goals, Paul, for the U.S. men's national team. 5 different goal scorers, 6 in succession. They're doubling up Canada, and that was deflected. They are going to say the officials did not see the deflection. Oh, yes, they do now. Good work. They conferred on the field and made sure to get it right. That was tipped. It should be Canada ball, and will be, with less than a minute to go. And you see the time is running. 20-minute running quarters. The clock will stop with 3 minutes to go in the regulation time 4th.
Official on the near side got it right. As you said earlier, there are no Canadian officials or officials from the United States. Basically, when you play, you don't have officials from your country reffing.
38 different nations in this tournament. Amazing. Last time the United States hosted the event, there were 8 in 1998. We often speak of growth of the game, and it's evident in these World Championships. Final 5 seconds of the half. Wesley Berg to the interior. That's handled by Jesse Schwartzman. And the United States will make a break for the dressing room, but not after some harsh words are exchanged on top, 6-3. There's been a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you can expect a whole lot more mouthing off between these two border rivals and superpowers of the sport. We begin the FIL Lacrosse Championships with the United States and Canada, and we have played 40 minutes now with Team USA falling behind by 3 and now leading by 3. Paul Carcaterra has Team USA's head coach Richie Meade.
Coach, your team scores 5 of the last 6 goals. What allowed your offense to come alive?
I thought we got the ball. You know, that was, they did a really good job early in the game, holding on to the ball, getting really good possessions. They hurt us a little bit one time on a face-off. They went to 5-on-5. We got to adjust to that a little bit, but when we have the ball, we're playing very well offensively. I thought we played well in the beginning. We just hit the goalie.
On the other side of the field, Coach, the Canadians are known to jam it inside, great finishers. What was the message to your defense prior to the game?
We're playing good defense. I mean, we're getting inside. We're not getting too spread out with them. We're getting inside, taking away the inside, and trying to make them shoot it from the outside.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Richie and Paul, we appreciate the insight. Canada had a quick start, jumped out to a 3-0 advantage, but the United States has the lead where they want it. On the other side of the break, a big picture look at these World Games follows on ESPN2. Two lacrosse titans are cooling their heels after 40 minutes of work. Game 1 of the Lacrosse World Championships halfway through. The United States playing host to Canada. It is nice to have you along for the ride. Joe Beninati, along with Quint Kesnick. Paul Carcaterra has joined us up here in the booth. Guys, in the couple of days that we've been here, we can really sense the camaraderie between these lacrosse players. Paul, explain it to us.
Well, Joe and Quinn, I played for Team England in 1998 with my brother Brian. My mom, Diane, had dual citizenship, and we played at Homewood Field at Hopkins, and the passion and the pageantry that these players have for their country, and then the festival atmosphere, I think these World Games, in terms of that in the sport of lacrosse, unmatched.
Yeah, so far this week, what's amazed me, the global aspect. 38 teams, but, you know, it's amazing to see the established programs like Canada, like Japan, like England, working with some of the new faces and that goodwill that is extended to get those nations up to speed.
You mentioned it, 38 teams. That is a massive undertaking, and it promises to be a tournament that's filled with twists and turns.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We have 9 new faces this year, teams like Uganda. Everything's focused on the blue division with USA, Canada, and Iroquois, likely champions. You see the U.S.'s past success, 9 titles. Canada has won twice.
You like offense, boys? How about the return of the Iroquois? They did not play in 2010 in England. They are back. Their offense is insane. You have the Thompson brothers, Randy Stats, Cody Jamieson. You have to be glued to the TV if you like offense in lacrosse. And then finally, 10 active players from college lacrosse in the blue division. No one in the United States. Canada has some. The Iroquois have some, as well as England.
There will be some known names on those rosters. You'll be able to check them out. You're also going to get the chance to see the best of the best on ESPNU quite a bit in the next 9 days. The United States dominating on ESPNU. We've been enjoying a slugfest between the United States and Canada. First half highlights from this one are soon to come on ESPN2. Welcome back to the 2014 FIL Lacrosse Championships, presented by Trusted Choice. 40 minutes done in Denver. A beautiful night for lacrosse in the United States. The reigning world champions have the lead by 3. Joe Beninati, along with Quint Kesnick. And Quint, we know that Canada can score, but what was it that stood out to you about the United States defense?
Wow, putting on a defensive clinic. First of all, the way they approached the ball carrier, shading, knowing the strong hand of the ball carrier and taking that away. Off the ball, they've been tight inside on the backside, and I love their slide and recovery packages. Dave Petramalo, their defensive coordinator, that was a first-half gem, holding a very talented team to only 7 shots.
Many people will say we have the 2 best teams on the planet performing, so that should make for some good highlights.
You know, Canada was ready to play. Jordan McIntosh filling in for John Grant Jr. draws 2, and there's Jeremy Noble, Denver Pioneer, gives the Canadians a 3-0 lead, but USA got going. I think they settled down. Rabil found Kevin Buchanan. Rabil swims, draws 2, and there's a beautiful wing shot. And then Rabil, gorgeous pick set by Dave Lawson, and you give the big man space on the perimeter. Jump shot right-handed. USA scored 6 straight.
So Team USA, look at the shot total in the first 40 minutes. Dylan Ward was under siege. Ground balls, a slim favorite for the United States. Before we start this third quarter, Paul Carcaterra was able to catch up with Canada head coach Randy Mearns.
Yeah, and he said his offense, Joe, was its own worst enemy. He said when they got in there a 2-man game, he liked the way that they attacked and approached the initial dodge, but the other 4 offensive players standing still. So his message to his offense, crisp ball movement, and everyone away from the ball needs to be cutting, picking, and re-picking. On the other side of the field, defensively, he said it was a sound effort in the first half. Playing off-ball defense. He said they're guarding the dodging offensive players for Team USA fine. It's the off-ball play.
Snyder controls the opening faceoff, goes right to the cage where Jesse Schwartzman makes a smart-looking stop in the first half minute of the third. Canada on the board 3 times to start these games. Matthews, Dixon, and Noble. But the United States rallying with a half a dozen goals from 5 different players, a pair from Kevin Buchanan. If you're just tuning in with us, it's 6-3 and off we go in the second half. This is the opening game of the FIL Lacrosse Championships. This is the blue group. There are 38 teams, Quint, in this tournament. 9 different groups in play.
We'll play pool play. In the blue division, you have 5 games in pool play. The other teams are Australia, England, the Iroquois Nationals, and the Japanese. And then there's 8 other divisions, green, gray, teams like Costa Rica, Slovakia, Russia, Germany, Spain, France, Scotland. They'll battle in pool play. And then next Monday, they'll start elimination play with the bracket growing to 1 as we head towards an overall champion.
Buchanan skips it back behind the cage. Pannell, matched by Dylan Roy, who was very physical in the opening half for Canada in the red. Pannell working quickly. Shovels it inside. Lavelle scores! Kevin Lavelle.
Kevin Lavelle, without question, the best American finishing attackman of all time. And Rob Pannell can dish the rock, break a defense down. But you look at 19 in white, always cutting, the 6th sense to take that pass from Pannell. This is what Lavelle does best. This is why he's on this offense, Q, because he's their inside guy where everyone else can play the perimeter.
And there's a lot of trust when you jam the ball inside to Kevin Lavelle. Albany Academy in upstate New York, UMass, twice tried out for Team USA and didn't make it. But you think about perseverance, coming back and finishing the drill. There was nobody I was more happy for than Kevin Lavelle when this Team USA roster. It's a guy who is a lifer, so to speak, and finally rewarded for what has been a Hall of Fame career.
Elected captain by his mates. His brother Mike was on the team that won gold in England in 2010. Kevin was an alternate that summer. He looked us in the eye yesterday and said, this is one of the most intelligent groups I have ever been around. They have managed to act like sponges and absorb all the information, all the system installation that's been put in very, very quickly.
You don't get to this level if you're not a good practice player, if you can't absorb and install schemes, if you're not a good team guy and you don't have a good team personality. At this level, all the pieces have to be there.
Dixon is a going concern for Canada. He has Tucker Durkin hung up. Durkin, the defender, shading there with Schwartzman. Dixon's in no hurry now. He could sightsee and find a passing lane. Sooner or later, somebody's going to flush him out. It'll be Durkin. Dixon from the angle. Good save by Schwartzman, who gets help off the carpet from Bernhardt.
Jesse's been very solid. You mentioned those characteristics. You know, what are the traits of a world-class player, whether it's from Canada, the U.S., or the Iroquois Nationals? And the coaches were, all these coaches have been quick to point to those consistent traits of excellence.
You know, Q, the game has changed. 20 years ago, a lot of guys were two-time in the sport. Now, if you look at this roster, how many guys on Team USA are full-time lacrosse players, involved in the industry, training full-time, breaking down film, complete students of the game?
Rob Pannell will offer this for Garrett Thule, and then straight away for Kyle Harrison.
Size matchup.
Thule going right to the cage, swatted out there by Ward. That's a crease violation against the United States. It's Team Canada ball, and Ward comes up firing.
Thule's 240 out of West Point in the Military Academy, covered by Jesse Gamble, transitional midfielder in the National Lacrosse League, former attackman at Cornell. Jesse Gamble, quite a story, only played in 17 games at Cornell. Look at him, 5'9", 180, trying to cover 240. What a story Gamble is, Joe.
Yep.
Sophomore year at Cornell, he was an attackman. He tore his ACL, really never got back on track. Only scored 4 goals, but he's a smart kid, studying to get his MBA, and he fits in the indoor game as a transition midfielder, D to O.
Wesley Berg working offensively for Canada now. Cam Flint on the move against Seabald inside. The pass for Matthews, an extraordinary finisher as he tiptoes that goal crease. It is a crease violation and Team USA ball. 7 unanswered goals for the Americans. 11 times the World Championship crown has been handed out. 9 to the U.S., 2 to Canada. The United States in white has won 7 of the last 8.
The impact of this game is it's likely, perhaps, that the loser would fall to a 2 or a 3 seed. And you think about this, in my eyes, there are 3 legitimate title contenders, U.S., Canada, and the Iroquois Nationals. And you want to avoid a difficult semifinal game. The winner of this game could be the overall #1 seed after pool play.
I'm waiting for you to call them the Haudenosaunee. Rabil on the run, stings that one to the chest pad of Ward, and the counteract continues with Brody Merrill. So good in transition. 4 goals this summer. Maybe not as dangerous as he used to be, Paul, but still, when given the opportunity, he'll take it.
Well, Joe, I was just going to say, it's not often you see a defender wave off an offensive player, but 17 in red is that kind of player. I mean, just an offensive threat from the second he picks up the ball on the defensive end. Merrill's a genius when the ball's in his stick, dishing the ball, scoring goals on himself. But it's the way he glides, too. When Brody Merrill's in transition, something's different about that guy.
Opportunity for Team Canada here. They've kept 3 offensive midfield for Team USA on the field. Buchanan, Seabald, and Rabil all have to dig in and play D.
23-man rosters for these World Championships. This is McIntosh swinging it up for Jeremy Noble. One of many first-time World game performers for Canada. GM Dave Huntley said they went young, deliberately, in fact. Jordan Hall looking to shovel that one. Good defense, but perhaps too good. Lee Zink's on his way to the penalty box. The first extra man for Canada on the night. Lee Zink has a seat. And as we were told, as soon as the player who commits the infraction sits, the clock starts running. We are playing running time, 20-minute quarters in these World Championships. Let's see what offensive pattern Matt Brown, the offensive coordinator for the Canadians, will dial up here. The gang in red, notoriously outstanding inside finishers. Wesley Berg hovering on the perimeter. Gets it back. Dixon for Berg. Penalty time has expired. U.S. back to 6-on-6. The quick stick fire for King is routine for Jesse Schwartzman. It has been a long, dry spell for Canada. Their last goal came way back early in the second quarter. It gave them a 3-0 advantage. Since then, all USA. Offensive-minded subs coming on for the Americans. Jeff Tambroni is the offensive coordinator for Team USA. All of the coaching staff for the U.S. admiring how each and every day at the conclusion of practice, these guys said, no, let's go more. Give us more. But Richie Meade was the man at the top saying we have to keep the guys fresh. Quint, you've been talking about it. This is a lot of games in a short amount of time.
Especially for the teams who are going to play during the day here in Denver. It's been extremely hot so far this week. Temperature up into the 90s on some of these outer turf fields on this facility. I think wear and tear and the ability to deal with the climate is going to be essential for a champion.
Pannell dealing with the defense. It's 8-3.
Marcus Holman, 1 in white, comes in the ball game. A little 2-man game behind the goal. Here's Pannell. Looks like he's going to run off that pick, changes direction, and the burst creates 2 steps of separation, ball's in the back of the net.
BioBlast on Rob Pennell. Brought to you by Sector Spider ETFs. Brilliant in his first season of Major League Lacrosse last summer with the New York Lizards. And everybody who sees him, whether it be coaches or fellow players or scouts, says the best is still to come for number 32 in white.
Most assists in Cornell history, over 200.
That's all?
Number 3 right now in Major League Lacrosse this summer in points. And from Smithtown West to Deerfield to Quinnipiac, not so fast, up to Cornell. Next thing you know, taking home a Tualatin and appearing in multiple Final Fours.
Legendary status. And what impresses me so much about 32 in white now is his low angle shooting. He knows that slide's going to come. So when he turns the corner, right away, he's either sneaking it past the goalie, which we just saw, or he's passing it right away. Joe, you mentioned the 200-plus assists. That's a lot of goals for Stevie Mock.
Paul, he expressed his admiration for Connor Gill. Remember that name?
Indeed, one of the best passers in U.S. lacrosse history.
Brody Merrill on the intercept. Canada has to try and carve into this U.S. 8-goal run. It's 8-3 as we've played more than half of the third quarter. Curtis Dixon, who's picked up by Durkin on the outside. That matchup has been consistent for the United States.
And Dixon has shown some ability as a Dodger, but otherwise, who on Canada can break down their man, run by somebody, and draw a double team?
Flint did, and he hit the post there. The ricochet all the way to Hall.
And that's a great point, Q, because you know John Grant, even though he wasn't blowing by people with his speed, he always demanded a double team.
Jordan Hall on the swim move. Rabil digging in defensively. Forced him away. It has been a terrific defensive effort from the guys in the white jerseys. The reigning world champion Americans. Matthews backing in on Belial, tries to stuff it, put it off the outside of the cage. ESPN will be bringing you coverage of the 2014 General Tire World Cup of Softball as the Americans work ahead. Lee Zink on the pass. Team USA settles in 6-on-6. 8 of the world's best teams take the field in hopes of becoming champions. Tune in Friday at 9 on ESPN. Also, watch live on Watch ESPN. It's the 9th edition of the World Cup of Softball. Japan shocked the Americans last year. If I did my homework right, I think Canada destroyed Japan in that tournament earlier in the week. To his offensive set. Thule. Crotty once more. Roy giving chase. Time ticking away. Less than 7 minutes to go in the third. Thule will switch it up top. Harrison keeps it hot for Lawson. Crotty on a string for Thule. Crotty once more, picked up by Rubish. Explodes to the crease and puts it off the outside of the frame. It'll still be USA ball. Marcus Holman on the dive! Stopped there by Ward as Holman went airborne. Whistles blaring out. All the while, Jason Noble looking for the quick restart, 45 in red.
Gentlemen, I think Dylan Ward's done his homework. I've watched Marcus Holman this summer, and he's been using that move, the dive. He's a right-hander. He puts a cross for him and dives up that left side time and time again. And Ward was just sitting on the pipe with his stick low.
An amazing drought for Canada that continues. It's almost 30 minutes worth. Marcus Holman playing professionally in the United States. Major League Lacrosse with the Ohio Machine. A team that has improved mightily this summer.
Quite a summer in Major League Lacrosse when the Bayhawks are at the bottom of the pack. Denver and Rochester tied for first place. New York and Ohio very much improved.
Canadians settle in. Right to the cage. Score! Zach Greer.
Look at double eights. Zach Greer at Duke University. one of the best goal scorers in the history of the game. Was traditionally an attackman in his collegiate years, now playing midfield to give him a little bit more on the perimeter. He could dip underneath and create some offense, but Greer knows where the back of the net is.
Greer's really fit right now. Watching him practice this week, and his foot speed is there. 28-year-old from Whitby, Ontario. Turnbull Award winner in 2008. Lives in Los Angeles, and I didn't like Mitch Belisle's approach. It was a little bit high. You got to sit down and get on the hips.
Jeff Snyder thought he had won the draw there cleanly. Instead, the officials say that big number 35 violated. The procedure gives the United States the ball with Matt Abbott in charge. It's 8-4 now. Canada ends a lengthy drought, better than 30 minutes without a strike. Zach Greer, former Duke Blue Devil and national goal-scoring champion in his college days. Pennell hits the brakes. That was a sharp angle. No worries for Ward, who is pinned tight to the post.
Paul, that's the release you're talking about. Very deceptive for a goaltender, where he shoots around the defender, almost offbeat, but how quickly at goal line extended he can trigger that. It's quite amazing.
And that's what these elite attackmen are doing now, Q. You watch them, they actually extend their arms out, and it's just a little flick of the wrist. It's instant in terms of how they get that shot off, but they increase their angles by extending their arms almost straight out.
It doesn't even look like a shot. It looks like it's more of a cradle. And then out of nowhere, you better be reactive in the nets. Seaball powering in. Here comes the double from Vince. Good catch by Rabil. Keep it hot for Holman. Crotty off the shimmy. Slingshot from Holman, who can bring it from the outside. Missed it. 3 minutes with which to work in quarter three. Pennell beats his man and scores! Ooh, he paid for it afterwards. But Rob Pennell has made it 9-4. He took one right in the chops.
This is a little laying the groundwork and the foundation. Regardless of what goes on tonight, we're not going down without a fight. Both teams sharing a dorm at Denver University. Could be an interesting week.
Might have to up the security. Rob Pennell picked himself up off the turf. He was leveled after converting his second goal in the night. Stretching out there on the United States sideline.
The ISO from X behind the goal after the mistriggered shot. And the Canadian defense was just sloughed up too high. And Matt Vince, this is late. Not as bad on that angle, actually. From up here, I thought it was a foul the first time I saw it. That second replay in slow motion was not as bad as Pennell made it look.
Vince and Merrill both converging, and it was Vince who put the hammer onto the young quarterback for the United States, who is tended to over on the sideline.
Calf cramp. And that's going to be a storyline this week. Hot and dry. We're at altitude. Hydration is a major challenge, and this is going to be a survival of the fittest as all 38 nations will start pool play tomorrow. 23-man rosters. There's not much fat on that roster, Joe.
No.
You better be a versatile player and able to help out, and injuries will be a big deal.
Conditioning a premium. Gurenlian against Snyder here. Gosh, we have not seen very many cleanly executed faceoffs tonight.
Now that is an issue with the international officials.
Set, down, whistle, but everybody's cadence is a little bit different.
You know, gentlemen, field level, watching this with keen eye, I don't think Canada has the defenders at X behind the cage to match the United States attackmen. They're getting a step on their guys. Rob Pennell's last two goals, you saw that. But every time Ned Crotty has the ball, 22 in white, Pennell, they are attacking from X. I think that's the soft spot in this Canadian defense.
I completely agree with you. You know, Rubish and Vince back there are big and strong guys, but I don't think they have the foot speed to match Pennell and Crotty. I think ultimately what you may see down the road is Dylan Roy and Jason Noble doing more of that coverage behind the goal because of their speed and their quickness.
Good collaboration there on defense for Canada against Garrett Thule. Brody Merrill comes up with a ground ball, flails one ahead. That's an easy steal for Belisle, but then his pass is off the target. Joe Beninati joined by Quint Kesnick and Paul Carcaterra. We are at Dick's Sporting Goods Park Denver, Colorado on ESPN2. It's game 1 of the FIL Lacrosse Championships presented by Trusted Choice. As we shout out thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew who will be joining us over the next 9 or 10 days. It should be quite a treat. ESPN has these World Championships covered top to bottom on ESPNU and ESPN3.com.
Joe, give the fans at home a sampling of what's available tomorrow.
Oh, well, let's see. How about a little Germany-Belgium clash? Australia and Japan for your liking. Top to bottom on the surrounding fields. This is a wonderful complex. You and I have been roaming it all over the place. We've seen a lot of different levels of lacrosse.
Watching the Chinese team practice the other day was just quite an experience. We've seen really good lacrosse from a team like Scotland. We got to watch Australia. Very impressed with the English team, and they have high hopes after winning the 2012 European Championship. So it is a cross-section of lacrosse abilities, and I think obviously you talk about a championship, USA, Canada, the Iroquois, but there are many tiers, and there's a lot of victories that can be won by a 5th place finish or a 9th place finish.
Quinn, what's the chance of us getting Joe Beninati out as a player coach for Team Italy, getting him back?
He's eligible. He is eligible for Team Italia. Both grandparents born
in Sicily. I walked by the Azzurri yesterday, and I had thoughts of maybe jumping into the practice, and then some sort of smartness prevailed and said, no.
Look, you should be their GM. You get 2 or 3 trips over to Italy every year. It would be great for your wine cellar.
Yes, it would be. 9-4 with a timeout on the field late in the 3rd quarter. ESPNU will be bringing you coverage of the FIL World Lacrosse Championships. Australia and the United States taking to the field coverage of their battle, the FIL World Lacrosse Championships presented by Trusted Choice. That'll be Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPNU. You can also watch the game live on Watch ESPN.
Teams to watch this week: Israel. They are a talented bunch who should win their division. Wales is typically good. Germany should be strong.
Hearing a lot of good things about them.
Scotland, I like a lot. And I think Ireland wins the yellow division with Bermuda, France, and Uganda.
So again, for those who are just joining, 9 different groups. The heavy hitters are in the blue.
Correct.
And we will play down to crown a world champion on the 19th of July. Paul Carcaterra was within earshot of the USA huddle and assistant coach Dave Petramala.
Well, Quinn, you mentioned earlier this gem of a game defensively by the U.S. and Coach Petramala, and watching them right now in this huddle, you'd think they're down by 3 or 4 goals. He has the same intensity as he has at Homewood Field at Johns Hopkins University during the year, calling players out, wanting them to be accountable. He said to his defensive unit, he said, guys, when have they scored from the outside? Take the defense down a notch, support the inside, protect the inside. Jesse's on fire right now. Do not create offense for them.
Dave Petramala on Richie Meade's staff, former Naval Academy head coach, now at Furman in South Carolina. Star-studded coaching staffs on both sides. That's Gary Gate, part of the Brain Trust for Team Canada, 3 times in these World Games, and an outstanding performer.
90 Perth in the mud, 94, and then that epic game in 1998. And the World Championship Finals at Homewood Field in Baltimore, which really led to the birth of Major League Lacrosse.
Pass inside on the shovel shot, a good save from Ward as he denied Kevin Lavelle. We near the end of the 3rd quarter, time's a-wasting. Schwartzman gets to the end line there with Wesley Berg. It'll be Team USA ball with 2 ticks to go. And then the end of 3 quarters. It is a 9-4 advantage for the host nation. We're here in Denver, Colorado at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Team USA all fired up. The emotion evident as they have taken the 9-4 advantage. We'll go to the 4th in just a few moments.
World Lacrosse Championships is presented by Trusted Choice Independent Insurance Agents. Free to do what's right for you.
Passion for what you do every single day.
You're having fun when you're going to the locker room, and you know it's getting you got all your friends there.
It makes everybody play a lot better when they know they have the rest of the team around them to support them whether they make a good play or bad play or somewhere in between.
This team has come together nicely for its opener. The 2014 FIL Lacrosse Championships, presented by Trusted Choice. From Denver, Colorado, as we are soon to head to the final 20 minutes of regulation time with Team USA on top of Canada. Here's your game track if you're joining us a little late.
USA stars have been Paul Rabil, Rob Pennell, and Kevin Buchanan. But for me, it's all about defense. Stars and Stripes holding Canada to only 1 of 7 shots since that early in the second quarter. It has been a defensive gem in both alignment, scheme, and winning all the one-on-one battles on the perimeter.
Paul, this is a lacrosse festival. It's a jamboree. There's a tremendous party atmosphere here as Snyder wins the draw and races right to the cage for Canada, all the way to score. Jeff Snyder says, "How dare you interrupt me?" It's 9-5.
Jeff Snyder's one of those old school throwback midfielders. When he was at Denver as a midfielder, a big-time goal scorer, an elite face-off man, but can create his own offense where a lot of guys are itching to get off the field. Snyder will take it down right through the heart of the defense and make them pay.
Never call Jeff Snyder a fogo, face-off, get-off, because he's a capable offensive player. And what I like about him when the ball's in his stick is the decision-making. He just keeps it simple. He reads the defense. He's got good control. He's never out of control. And he buries one there in what could be a mini turning point late in this ballgame.
Violation against Chris Eck, giving Canada the ball. And both Paul and Q, you can weigh in on this. Eck and Snyder were both pupils of Andy Towers, so they should know each other's face-off tendencies quite well.
Hundreds and hundreds of draws. But it was interesting. Jeff on Tuesday night in a scrimmage against Scotland really put himself through the paces. Missed some time. You see how he has that right knee in a brace. That his brother actually fell on his knee during an indoor game.
He didn't call him a very nice word after that happened either. A little harsh for brotherly love. As we are wading into the fourth quarter, Canada in the red jerseys down by 4. The opening night and day of the FIL Lacrosse Championships. Greer inside, no problem. Zach Greer brings Canada within 3.
Greer, Flint, and Jordan Hall, the midfielders, jog off. Greer's had a nice game. The action starts up top with Cam Flint, and he just chucks it through the defense. And Lee Zink, 29 in white, just kind of a poor angle. Greer's able to roll to the inside.
Q, you can never chase a Canadian stick at goal line extend, and that's what Lee Zink did. He ran after Greer, went to his top side. Greer, so slick, dipped underneath. But you mentioned earlier, too, how fit he is. This guy's got some pep in his step.
I was just trying to figure out why Zink put himself in that position where he was lunging from the middle of the field out to the wing. If he had some prior maybe responsibility as a backup man and had hedged too far at Cameron Flint's.
Oh! A tremendous rock'em sock'em hit there. And the American captain went down and bounced right back up. That's Kevin Lavelle. It's Kyle Hartzell with the ball. 9-6 for the United States. Less than 17 to go in regulation. Boom. Every big hit, or thereabouts, Vince has been around. Vince and Lavelle colliding like rams there.
Joe, these guys don't like each other. We've seen them back and forth, the bickering, and on field level, there's a ton of chirping, and every ground ball is a monster hit.
Rabil has room and fire to score! Rabil with another brilliant dodge. Leaving defenders gasping on the way.
Ward can only turn up to the big screen and see what happened. A two-handed player with speed, power, work ethic. He's absolutely driven, and he works on his craft. Caught him earlier this summer at a local high school in Baltimore at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning with a bag of balls. Guess what he was doing, folks? working hard when nobody was watching, hundreds of shots on his own, and it shows up on game day.
Change of pace. The United States puts in the massive Greg Gurenlian to battle with Jeff Snyder as we close in on the face-off X.
And watching Rabil, gentlemen, he's not pushing at all. I mean, he's letting the game come to him. I thought that last move was fantastic. He had Brody Merrill commit to that far side of the field to come out with a beautiful angle.
Jeff Snyder, number 35 in the red, the face-off man for Canada, putting up a protest while he's drawing with Gurenlian. Round and round they go, and Snyder comes out of there with it and got it trapped in that cross long enough for a procedure to give ball back to the United States. Lawson has control. Team USA is in the white. If you think back to 2010's group play, Canada beat the United States. And then it would be Team USA exacting revenge in the gold medal game.
Last two pool losers have won the rematch in this U.S.-Canada series.
Lawson off the split. The Iroquois will face both of these teams in blue group play. Australia, Japan, and England also in the group with these two Titans. Crotty with a defender hung up. Jason Noble, 45 in the red for Canada. Oh, that was a sneaky attempt. Ned Crotty, an aerial from behind the goal that did not find pay dirt. The lead for the Americans is 4.
Left side of your screen, Ned Crotty. Tewaaraton winner 2010 for Duke University. Tries that backhanded dive shot. Crotty was very versatile. He's going to be used in a lot of different ways, whether it's as an attackman at X. He's capable from the wing. He can run shifts at midfield. He moves his feet well without the ball. I think a lot of that comes from his hockey background. Growing up in New Jersey, he was an excellent youth hockey player.
Curtis Dixon rolling back. His pass was too tall for Crowley, and it's fielded on the run. Kyle Harrison jogging ahead. Help comes with Hartzell, who will wisely pull it out and let the United States settle in 6-on-6. There have been precious few extra man opportunities in this game. Rabil on the dead run, lost his footing, made a miraculous pass, and then Ward made the save on Crotty. End to end, back comes Crowley. Transition for Merrill, who for the second time in the last 3 minutes or so lost his footing there on the turf. David Earl gets the alley on the bounce pass. A tough catch. Crowley inverted. Wesley Bird off the split. Righty. Rabil takes a good angle on him. Good moves to the interior. That pass was forced. We're looking for Dixon. Durkin wouldn't allow it. Schwartzman has the ball. The goalie goes behind the back.
Shoot the rock, Jeremy Noble. Shoot the rock.
Former Big East midfielder of the year for Canada out there. There is a flag down. We near the midway mark of the fourth quarter. The officials tonight from Japan, Australia, England, and Germany. There's the hit from Dixon that sent Schwartzman tumbling over the end line and sends Dixon to the box. Dixon will cool his heels. Coach Mearns looks on at his man-down defenders who make a quick takeaway. Ward right up the chute there for Flint. And Canada will cross the midline. Good catch by Zach Greer The last man to strike for the Canadians in this quarter, his second of the game. Rabil has a 4-point performance, 2+2, to lead the Stars and Stripes.
Canada's still experimenting with offensive combinations. Talking with their offensive coordinator, Matt Brown, on Tuesday, finding chemistry, experiment. They're all high IQ guys, but who has a connection with another player? You know, who has a spark? And you see Adam Jones and Greer and Wesley Berg is the attack right now, and that is clearly not the unit that started the game.
No, sir. These two teams opening the tournament, they'll get a day off tomorrow and then resume blue group play. Round robin. There are 9 groups, 38 total teams in this event. The Americans, in the history of the World Championships, only 3 losses, all of them to the guys in red. McIntosh, he's been quiet tonight. Jeremy Noble. McIntosh picked up by Abbott.
U.S. now content to really pack it in, as Paul said. They're picking up at about 15 or 14 yards, and they are not extending to ball carriers at all.
That was a really well-timed check by Abbott. It gives the United States transition. 4-on-3. Hartzell on the dish. Mundorf fires. That was blocked away. Kevin Lavelle with a quick scoop. The United States has more offensive possession time.
Understand clock and score right now with a 4-goal lead. Under 10 minutes.
No shot clock, no timer on. Teams on the lead late in the games can definitely favor the deliberate possessions.
Antiquated rules in international lacrosse. Hopefully the NCAA this August when they meet keeps tempo on their mind with potential rules changes to the college game.
Pinnell throwing back. Buchanan tries that one. Ward scrambles to stuff. Buchanan was looking for a hat-trick marker there. Paul Carcaterra, what say you with respect to the Rules Committee meetings ahead? Your expectations?
Shot clock.
Really?
Shot clock, without question. And I think that it happened naturally. I think the last 2 years we saw such confusion with the timer on and referees having at their discretion the ability to dictate pace of play. I think we got to just let them officiate the game, make it easier for them, and I think the writing's on the wall. I'd be shocked if there's not a shot clock.
I think at the end of the day, a 60-second shot clock favors good defense. A team like Notre Dame or Johns Hopkins who can dig in and play good defense for a minute should be rewarded.
Speaking of good defense, the United States, I think, has been dazzling. Mundorf tries an acrobatic pass there while looking to stay onside. There's a push call. And then a flag down as Brendan Mundorf voiced his displeasure with a call or lack thereof. 7:41 and counting. The clock will stop. The game clock will stop as we get to 3 minutes and down in regulation.
Push.
There are 80 different officials who will receive assignments during these World Championships from 17 different nations. Brendan Mundorf said one word too many. Meanwhile, back to the act. It wasn't against Mundorf. It's man up for the United States. Seaball with a rocket that was stabbed by Ward. The quick outlet for Merrill and played further still. Vince turns back.
Nice play by Vince. Rabil had an angle. Rabil's the faster player. That might not have had a happy ending, but he said, you know what? I got to circle and
Canada
change fields.
Asking for the timeout. Richie Meade's troops on top by 4. Stay with us for the final 6.5 from Denver. Jesse Schwartzman is backstopping the United States efforts. It's a 10-6 lead for the Americans with 6.5 to go in the fourth. ESPNU's coverage of these World Lacrosse Championships. You see the schedule playing out on the screen.
You see Team USA back in action against the Australian Sharks on Saturday.
Well said.
Team we got to see in Vail, very patient, good structure. I love their camaraderie. Sunday, Iroquois Canada is a critical game, and the U.S. will face the Japanese, a team they've never lost to. Monday, Tuesday, it's England, and then on the Iroquois on Tuesday, and what should be a very, very interesting game. A young Iroquois Nationals team, Lyle and Miles Thompson, going against what looks to be a pretty stout USA defense.
Tonight whets your appetite for the rest of the tournament. We showed you the ESPNU schedule. Remember, tons of games on ESPN3.com. Beginning at 10 in the morning Eastern time tomorrow. Flint on the roll dodge, triple team. The United States has supported beautifully at this end of the field. Greer moseying in on Hartzell. That shot from Flint was partially blocked. It floated wide.
Yeah, Lee Zink got a stick on his hands.
We mentioned the Iroquois back in the tournament, Paul Carcaterra, an extremely hot commodity around here.
Thompson part two. If you watched Albany during that NCAA tournament, we get another dose of the Thompsons, Cody Jamieson, Randy Stotts. It's their game. You know, they originated the game of lacrosse, and their freestyle approach is incredible to watch. I mean, these guys act off of instinct. The sticks are an extension of their body. I cannot wait tomorrow. Quint, we have that call against England. Get ready.
Yeah, watching them practice today, this morning, Joe and I went over, and it was something. You know, getting able to talk to Orrin Lyons Jr., talking to Jai Thompson, the dad, Jerome and Jeremy, the older brothers will be playing. Had to be impressed with what I saw from Adam Bomberry, who's an Onondaga player. There's, I think, 3 guys on their dress roster from that Onondaga team, coached by Chuck Wilburn. Now, how many JUCO national titles have they won?
6 in a row.
Jeff Shatler was a guy who stood out.
Wow,
what a monster!
Yeah, he's ready to go.
And then Craig Point shooting. So there was a lot of different things going on at the Iroquois practice today. Very, very fun and educational for us to watch.
As we conclude matters in this opening game, the FIL Lacrosse Championships presented by Trusted Choice. Joe Beninati, Quint Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra. Down the stretch from Dick's Sporting Goods Park, the Major League Soccer home of the Colorado Rapids, seats about 18,000. Good attendance tonight to watch Canada square off with the United States. The guys in red jumped out to a 3-0 advantage, then watched Team USA rip off 8 in a row. It's 10-6 at the moment, and the United States has slowed the tempo. Abbott on the scoop. Lawson keeps it moving for Harrison. Time ticking away. An ally for the United States. Harrison drawing a couple of defenders, throws back for Crotty. Ned Crotty seeing a lot of time through the midfield tonight. Thule off the bench. Head coach Richie Meade, 3 minutes and change away from starting the World Championships in 2014 in style. Harrison setting up for that split dodge. There it is, twice. Badgered there by Rubish all the way to the sideline. The old goalie in me, Quint, loves the way the teams have played defense tonight. Oh, nice interchange there for Purnell and a split save for Ward, who's got 17 and counting. Dylan Ward's been brilliant in goal for Canada. Quickly down the alley. Canadians have to work smartly now. Over the top, fire to score. It's Crowley.
You're down 10-6. You have to take chances. And in transition, when the ball's flying around and it's a numbers game, the Canadians are incredible. And Kevin Crowley, Major League Lacrosse, most valuable player a season ago, He's probably the one player on the team that has the range, Q, to stretch a defense.
U.S. did a fine job on the initial transition opportunity. They bumped to the near side of the field, but Mark Matthews had his eyes up. Crowley comes through the substitution box. So what looked like a 4-on-3 wasn't a 5-on-4, but it was a 6-on-5. Matthews found Crowley. Time and room. These guys in red, they can set their feet and look at the goal. It's going to be a long night for a goaltender.
An important face-off win there for Snyder. Canada had to have possession, and they do with 2:20 to go in the fourth. Racing towards the cage, Jeremy Noble. This one is hummed high. Crowley was trying to go back-to-back. It's backed up by Wesley Bird.
Noble playing attack right now, which we saw in practice on Tuesday and couldn't believe my eyes.
Just a reminder, the clock stops when the ball goes out of bounds. Under 3 minutes to go in these World Championship games. They're 20-minute quarters, running time, except for now. Looking for the quick stick of Matthews, who started the scoring tonight. It failed to click. Crowley, less than 2 to go. Abbott hedging out there. Matt told us he suffers from asthma. You'd never know it by the way he can run for days. 3 in the white. Nice moves from Matthews. Fires there, and Schwartzman took it right in the chest. Abbott has the ground ball. United States 90 seconds away from a tournament opening win. The Americans had to choose between Schwartzman and Adams, which is an embarrassment of riches in the goal crease. Richie Meade and the coaching staff selecting Jesse tonight, and he has performed admirably, with Adams waiting in the wings and John Galloway the alternate.
I really think what showed up on the defensive side for Team USA was during their selection process, which was elongated, 1.5 years, 2 years. They were able to install packages. They were able to develop defensive chemistry. And just a remarkable game plan, the way they handled their individual matchups, the way they shut down Canadian transition, and they slid, rotated, and recovered.
Crotty and the Americans playing keep away now. Roy in full sprint. Ward has vacated the goal there to help defensively in the final 35 seconds. Ooh. Holman bumped out of bounds. Sebald looking healthy, looking fresh, running well. That's his game. A guy who formerly ran a 4.38.40. Not having any eyes for that open net right now.
Bye-bye.
Just looking to run to the tunnel.
He's pretty fast.
Yeah, he is. 10 seconds to go. The 2014 FIL Lacrosse Championships, presented by Trusted Choice. This tournament opener, it goes to Team USA. The Stars and Stripes prevail 10-7. The Americans celebrating victory. Quint, it is Paul Rabil as our Trusted Choice player of the game.
2 goals, 2 assists. I thought the U.S. shared the ball well on offense. Kevin Buchanan looked sharp, as did Rob Pennell, but to me this was all about the defense.
The Americans doubling up the Canadians in shots and winning this one by the final of 10-7. For Quint, for Paul, for all the men and women in our crew, Joe Beninati, thanks for your time. The United States starts 2014, the defense of a world crown with a win, as we invite you to stay tuned on ESPN2. Coming up next, it's Olbermann. The United States by 3 in Denver.